Before we start this video, a large thank you to John, Tom, Amatish, Luca, Christopher, Big Mans, Abdullah, and Pipslow for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hello guys, okay, let's continue work on our advanced AI. So let's start by opening up Visual Studios, and apologies if you hear any background noise. My office is temporarily in my living room while renovations are happening in my house. So I'm going to open up the Combat Stance State Humanoid script, and then we're going to go down here. I'm just going to check the code over. So we're going to make a few additions and edits to the script for all of the combat styles and types, but we're going to focus then primarily on just getting the sword and shield type done in this video. So let's go over now to our actual enemy, and let's just duplicate this guy here and then basically hide the original. But before I do that too, I'm also going to rename him just so we know which is which. And let's go down to the states here, and you can see we're actually going to change out all of these states to our new advanced ones. So I am first going to rename this to enemy, bracket, we'll call this simple AI, and then I'm going to duplicate them, and then I am going to refer to this as humanoid AI, or if you want, advanced AI. Make sure you hide or uncheck the check mark up there to hide the game object of the simple AI. And then let's go open up the states of the humanoid AI, or our advanced AI. And let's start removing all the states here. So remove the idle and replace it with the idle state humanoid, which is our new state. Make sure the detection layer is on, I don't think it's player, I think it's actually character. Let me double check. Yes, so that is definitely character. So set that to character. And this should be layers to basically block the visual check. So we need to rename that. So this should be actually renamed to, like the other scripts, layers that block line of sight. And I'm just going to set that to default for now because all of my objects that block line of sight, like my environmental obstructions, are set to the default layer. So I'm just going to put that to default, and we're good to go. All right, so next let's go down to the pursue target state game object, remove the old pursue target state script, and let's put in our pursue target state humanoid, and then let's do the same thing with our combat stance state. Let's put in the combat stance state humanoid, and then let's do the same thing to our attack state. Let's put in the attack state humanoid. Again, these are all the advanced AI state scripts. And let's remove the rotate towards target state. And let's put in the, I don't think we made that one yet actually. All right, so let's put that back. We're going to make that right now in a second because that's important. So let's put in the variables here. So drag in the idle state, or drag in the pursue target state, and then drag in the variables in the combat stance state, etc., etc. Basically go down through all these states and drag in any missing state variables that you will need. And you're going to notice that, oh, we actually can't drag in the pursue target or combat stance state because we didn't change their type on attack state humanoid. So just add the word humanoid after the variable pursue target state and add the word humanoid after the variable combat stance state. And this will basically just change them to their advanced versions. We don't need to change the name if you don't want to because you can only reference the humanoid version anyway. And then drag them in here and that should be fine. Now, we are going to just basically copy the logic of the rotate target towards target state. The only reason I want to do this is because I just don't want to share another state with my simple AI. You can if you want. You can make it derive from the same logic. I'm just going to give it its own separate script. This is just how I like to do it. It is preference, and there is no real wrong way to do it in this situation. If you prefer making it derive and sharing logic, go for it. So I'm going to copy everything right here now on the rotate towards target state, the original version, and I'm going to paste it in the rotate towards target state humanoid script. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to change one thing, which is obviously the variable reference of our, I believe it's the pursue target state here, maybe? We'll see. Combat stance state, and make this derive from state. So we're not going to reference the combat stance state. We're going to reference the combat stance state humanoid, which is, again, our advanced version. So make sure you add your namespace or you're going to get some errors and you're going to complain. There we go. All right, so combat stance state humanoid, and now we are good to go. So we still have a few things to do before this is actually in working order. A few things to check, I should say. So let's go down here now to the attack state, drag in the rotate towards target state, and let's go to the rotate towards target state and add the new rotate towards target state script and drag in the combat stance state. Okay, so now everything is working here. Go to the rotate towards target state and make sure you say rotate towards target state humanoid. And this is on the attack state humanoid script. And then you can drag in the new rotate towards target state variable. There we go. All right. This looks good. Just checking over everything again one last time. All right, enemy attacks. Right, so we have to add some attacks to our character. Otherwise, we won't be able to do anything. So let's actually open up our item-based attack actions script because we have to make it so we can actually create a scriptable game object in our project and make an attack. So I'm just looking for a folder to put this to. Enemy attacks. Yeah, okay, we're going to put it in the enemy attacks folder. We'll just make a new folder. And I'm going to go ahead and call it, let's call it enemy item based actions, or enemy item based attacks if you'd rather. And I'll put the bracket for humanoid AI just to show this is definitely the actions for our newer advanced AI. All right. Now let's go to the item-based attack actions script, and you will see this actually does not derive from scriptable object, and there's nothing here that would allow us to create an asset. So you can see here, this is our enemy action. It derives from a scriptable object, which is how we can create these in our project. So let's go over to the item-based attack action. Let's make it derive from a scriptable object, and then let's also make an asset menu up here so we can create it. So we can just open up these square brackets here, create asset menu. Open brackets, menu name is equal to, now I'm going to say AI, and then I'm going to slash, so it's a new little header. I'm going to say humanoid, and I'm going to put or humanoid actions rather, another slash then, and I'm going to say item-based attack action. So now if we save this, I'm going to put that right there, we can make this in the project. Just going to check this over real quick. Don't mind me just scanning this. Yep, okay, that's cool. So let's go into the folder we just had, and we lost it. Let me just get that back real quick. Okay, so in here, right-click, create, AI, right at the top up there, and then humanoid actions, item-based attack action. Now I'm going to call this light attack, and very simply put, we just go and make sure that this is a melee attack action, which it is, and it's a light attack action, which it is. Very simple, very straightforward. The action can combo, going to check that off because it is a light attack, and light attacks can combo. All right, now let's go to our combat stance state and drag this in as a list of potential enemy attacks. And now if you want, you can just duplicate this, rename it to heavy attack, and then change the attack type from heavy to light, and then check action can combo if you want it to be able to combo, and then that will perform heavy attack. All right, so let's go now and go to the combat stance state and drag in the heavy attack also. There we go. And now I'm just going to click on this enemy AI here, and just going to drag in the idle state into the current state, so he starts off in a state. Okay, so let's go back now into the combat stance state humanoid script, delete random destination equals false right here, and just type in reset state flags. And this is when we leave the state to go to the attack state. And then in the reset state flags function, let's put that bool back here for random destination has been set equals false. There we go, and save that. Alright, so now if I'm in the game here, you can see our guy is stopped. Make sure you have the is grounded bool checked on your character before starting, otherwise you may get a weird behavior. And also, now if we go in here and get this guy running us, you're going to see we get an error. And this is because we haven't touched the enemy's weapon in such a long time, and since we refactored the project to use item-based actions, it's actually missing the tap RB action and the tap RT action. So this is set from the future. You're going to see in this clip here now that I actually put in the hold RB action for the light attack. Make sure you put in the light attack under the tap RB action, otherwise you're still going to get that error. And again, for the tap RT action, that will be our heavy attack. And now if we go back over into the attack state humanoids script, let's make a private void called reset state flags. Works the same as our other reset state flag scripts. Let's take every bool on this script here, and let's reset it every flag bool, and then when we leave the state, let's call this reset state flags. So these two bools here, make sure that you reset them to false, and then right before we leave to go to the rotate towards target state, let's make that bool, or I mean that function appear here, reset state flags, and that when we come back, the state is fresh again. So if we go into the game here now, you're going to see he's not actually attacking me, and he kind of is bugged out. This is because we go to our actual light attack action. You can see it checks for stamina. And when I made this character, I didn't give him any stamina. It's actually just at 0. So make sure your characters actually have a stamina level. If you want, you can make a check here for the player and apply this to the player only using a cast. I'm not going to. But if you'd rather do that, that's okay too. I'm just going to set the AI stamina here manually myself. So now if I set this and I jump back into the game, you can see he should be able to attack me. Yep, and there you go. He hits me. So now, this is in a functioning state. Now let's add some of the cooler logic. Let's start with blocking first. And then we'll go from there and add some dodging, and we'll go and layer on the logic. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we want to do blocking, is we want to make sure basically that they're going into the blocking state and changing the animations to their blocking animations to indicate that they are blocking. So I'm going to first begin by giving our enemy character a shield and put that in their offhand. And then we can go back to the combat state script humanoid, and I'm going to make a function that isn't made yet, or call one that isn't made rather, and I'm going to name it block using offhand, and I'm going to make it require we pass the enemy manager. So under where it says if will perform block, because remember we've already done the logic for checking the role, then I'm going to basically name this function that I haven't created yet. And let's scroll down, and let's make a function, a private void, called block using offhand. And let's make it require that we pass an enemy manager, and I'm just going to call that enemy. And just for the sake of neatness, I'm going to make a comment down here saying AI actions to indicate actions that are performed in the state. And again, we'll house things like repost, block, dodge, parry, etc., etc. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. So we're going to begin by saying if enemy dot. I'm going to check if we can, if we are blocking, if it equals false. Then we want to continue with the logic. So we don't want to block if we're already blocking. Then we're going to say if enemy dot is allowed to perform block. What did I call that? Let me check real quick. Allowed AI to perform block. So if the AI is clear to perform a block in the settings, then we're going to say enemy dot is blocking is equal to true. And it's that straightforward, really. Let's also assign the item that our enemy is currently using to the offhand weapon, because this is block using offhand. So we're going to say enemy dot character inventory manager, because I don't think we have the enemy inventory manager. Yep, okay, character inventory manager. Dot item, current item being used is equal to enemy dot character inventory manager dot left weapon. This just assigns to, the weapon in our offhand to our enemy to show that this is the weapon we're currently using. And then we're going to say enemy dot, we need to assign the damage absorption of the weapon, the same we do for the character when we're blocking. So I believe that's on the combat manager. So we would say enemy dot character combat manager dot set blocking absorptions from blocking weapon. And the current weapon being used is the left weapon, which is your shield. So we then assign the damage absorptions of the shield. I didn't mean to type in the actual variable, just need to call enemy. And now blocking should be in a working state, but we do a couple more things first. Let's actually tick allow AI to perform block and crank it to 100% of the time. And we do one more thing. We need to make sure we're setting the animated bool for is blocking to whatever is blocking is on the enemy. So we're going to say animator.setBool is blocking to the is blocking bool on the enemy manager. And now make sure you have blocking animations set up, and then it should look something like this. There we go. Yes, excellent. So he's blocking. He's very aggressive, so I'm going to try to hit him while he's blocking. So I didn't hit the shield that time, which is good. So it didn't actually calculate block. Let's try to hit his shield. And oh, he's very aggressive. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. And yeah, he blocked the damage. Excellent. So you can still hit the enemy if you don't actually contact the shield, which is exactly what we want. And again, make sure you have the locomotion animation set up here, or else it won't look like mine. You might just be using an override animator mask. That's cool too. If you need animations for blocking, check the description of this video. We have them in the asset store. So next, let's do the dodge. So we want to check if the enemy is actually attacking our AI. That's us, the player. And if we are, we want to actually dodge. So I'm just going to call this void dodge. Again, it's not made yet. Let's again pass the enemy manager. Now let's scroll down and create a private void, and we're just going to call it dodge. We're going to require, again, the variable of type enemy manager, and we're going to call that enemy. So we need to know a couple of things here. We need to know the direction we want to dodge in, which we're going to make it random. You can set it up however you want. I'm going to make it random. And we need to know if our enemy, the player, is attacking. So I will give you an example on how to set this up, and I will do the same as I do in every video, and I'll give you a couple examples, and then you can put it wherever you want. So up here on the top of combat state humanoid, let's make a bool for has performed dodge, set it to false at the start. Let's make a bool for has random dodge direction. Let's set that to false. And then we need to make two more variables, but one of those we can have down here, but we'll write this out first so it becomes more clear. We'll start by saying if we have not performed a dodge, then we want to basically run some logic. We're going to check if we do not have a random direction to dodge in. We want to get that direction first, because we got to know what direction we're going to roll in or dodge towards. I'm using a roll for this, so I'm using it as if we're going to roll towards this direction. So then I'm going to say has random dodge direction is equal to true at the top. And then I'm going to say random destination is equal to random.range. We don't have random destination as a variable yet. It's going to be float. Is equal to random.range 0 and 360. This is for 360 degrees of rotation. Basically, we're going to use this number to determine what degree we rotate towards. So think of it like a pie. You're going to rotate towards the 90, towards the 180, towards the 270, like a clock, right? So let's make a float for random dodge direction here. And then we're going to make a quaternion for target dodge direction. And let's actually, so let me check. I think we need to put this up top because we're going to reference this outside of this if statement. Yeah, we are. So we'll get to that though. We're going to say target dodge direction is equal to quaternion.Euler. And then we're just going to use our enemy's regular rotation on the, that's not position, sorry, that's Euler angles dot x. So enemy dot transform dot Euler angles dot x. And then for the y, we're going to use our random dodge direction. And then for the z, we're just going to use our enemy's regular rotation transform. So we're only rotating the y, which will cause our enemy to spin or face the direction of the y rotation. If you go into the game, go to the inspector, just only rotate in the y, you'll see what I mean. All right, so let's take this quaternion dodge direction, actually remove it from here entirely, and let's put it up top here because we need to reference this outside of the if statement. And if we don't have it here as a variable save up here, Unity's going to complain, or Visual Studio is going to complain. So let's come down here, and outside of the if we don't have a dodge direction, we're going to say if enemy dot transform dot rotation does not equal the target dodge direction. Well, then we're going to perform some logic. We're going to start by saying quaternion target rotation is equal to quaternion dot slurp between the enemy transform dot rotation and the target dodge direction over 1f. And then I'm going to say enemy dot transform dot rotation is equal to target rotation. Okay. Next, right below that, let's make a float. Let's call this target y rotation. Let's equal to target dodge direction dot Euler angles dot y. And then let's have a float for our enemy's current y rotation. And that's going to equal enemy dot transform, or enemy's in enemy manager, by the way, dot transform dot Euler angles dot y. And let's get a difference between those two. Let's make a float for rotation difference. We want to know how much space in numbers. Let's do math abs for an absolute value. The current rotation is from the target rotation. And the reason why we're doing this is because we don't want the rotation to happen too abruptly. So we're going to make it so when we get within, say, I'm going to use 5, for example. When we get within 5 units difference of the rotation between the target rotation, then we will perform a roll. And then we will set it to has performed dodge is equal to true. So we'll stop actually processing that rotation logic. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to see the rotation almost snap. And it's going to look too rigid. So this way, it performs it very quickly still, just over a time of a second or so. And then we're going to say it has performed dodge equals true. We're going to say enemy.transform rotation equals target direction, or target dodge direction. And then we're going to say enemy.animatorManager.play target animation. I'm just going to say roll underscore 1 and true for is performing action. Now, this should work. So when we set it up, we go into the game now. We put our dodge setting up to 100%, allow the AI to dodge. I'm going to disable block temporarily so we can see this. Let's also check, though, for enemy.is attacking. And we don't have that. So enemy.current target that is attacking. So this is very straightforward to do. Let's make a bool on the character manager because the enemy can use this too. And let's call this bool is attacking. It is a combat flag. So let's go to the character manager script. That way the player manager and the enemy manager will inherit this value as well. And let's just put it under the flag section. And down here, combat flags, public bool is attacking. And what we want to do then too is back on the empty state on the animator for the override. Because remember, we use all of our attack animations on this override state. When it comes back to this empty, as you know, we run some logic. So let's go to this empty and let's open up the reset animator bool. And every time we come back to this empty state, when we're done in attack, let's say character.isAttacking equals false. And now what you want to do is you can set up an animation event to enable isAttacking on each attack animation if you want, or you're going to have to do this for spells especially, or you can go to the chain in the code. So for example, I'll use light attack and heavy attack for an example. You can do this for spells too if you want to, like projectile spells. But find where we start. So right here, I'm just going to say character.isAttacking equals true, and it's just as simple as that. And then I'm going to go to the heavy attack action and do the exact same thing. Because, you know, once you pass the check for stamina, you know at this point an attack is going to be performed. Make sure you put it after the check for stamina, because think logically. If we have stamina, obviously we're going to perform an attack here. Now, with something like a Pyromancy Selection, you want to do a bit different. You don't want to do it right here. Like, you could put it right here. But what would end up happening is, if the animation takes one to cast, you might dodge prematurely. So the other way to do this is to put it on the actual process where it says cast spell successfully, or to put it on an animation event. I would use an animation event. So down here in reset state flags, also make sure you're resetting the random dodge direction. So has random dodge direction equals false. And then likewise too, you want to reset has performed dodge is equal to false. And then save it. And then if we go into the game here, it should be working just fine. So let's erase the blocking and put the dodge likelihood to 100%. Now I'm going to start. And as you can see, if I swing at this gentleman, he dodges. I'm going to back up here and just do it again. I'm going to dodge his swing, and then I'm going to swing at him, and he dodges again in a random direction. So I'm just going to dodge, whoop, hit him again, try this one more time. There we go, he dodges again. He attacks really quickly too, so that looks really good. We're going to polish this a little bit more, but first we're going to get all the features laid out. So we're going to do reposting and the archer and parrying in the next video, or try to at least, because these videos run rather long. And then we're going to go back and polish the dodge logic and the blocking logic. So for the dodge, for example, we can make it so you will only dodge if the enemy is within attacking radius of the target that's attacking it. So we'll do some kind of smart logic for that, so you're not just dodging when you swing at them and they're like 10,000 feet away, basically. Alright guys, so if you did like the video, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment. It does genuinely help out the series so much. I'm really excited to get around to the next one too. Doing the AI is a lot of fun. It's really starting to come together now too, so we're going to keep layering on the logic. I will see you guys in the next one.